Well, today, the Trump administration sanctioned 3 senior officials of the Chinese Communist Party for alleged human rights abuses targeting ethnic and religious minorities. In a written statement, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says, in part, the United States will not stand idly by as the CCP carries out human rights abuses targeting Uighurs, ethnic Kazakhs, and members of other minority groups in Xinjiang, to include forced labor, arbitrary mass detention, and forced population control and attempts to erase their culture and Muslim faith. Joining me now on Skype to talk more about today's developments is Gordon Chang, author of The Coming Collapse of China. Gordon, always good to see you. Welcome back.
Thank you, Tracy.
So, Gordon, what do these sanctions mean for these 3 Chinese officials and their families?
Yeah, there are 2 types of sanctions. One is from the State Department, and those individuals who are named will not be allowed to enter the U.S. The more important sanctions come from the Treasury Department. These are under the Global Magnitsky Act, and this means that their assets in the U.S. will be blocked and that U.S. people will not be able to deal with them. And what's important is that we've sanctioned a member of the Politburo. That's the highest sanction ever. Now, I think we should sanction people in the Politburo Standing Committee, which is at the top of the Chinese political system, but we're getting there, and this is a really good thing.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo also announced that he was placing additional visa restrictions on other Chinese Communist Party officials believed to be responsible for or complicit in unjust detention or abuse of Uighurs, ethnic Kazakhs, and members of other minority groups in Xinjiang. What impact do you think these sanctions and restrictions will have, and do you have any idea how Beijing may respond?
Well, Beijing will be certainly upset. The most important thing for them is the symbolism of this, because, in an insecure communist regime, they're worried about symbolism. Also, I think that it says to them that the Trump administration is going after them hard because no previous administration has done something like this. But we got to remember what we're talking about. This is forced birth control, forced sterilization, forced abortions, and this actually constitutes genocide in this particular case. Also, the mass detention of Uighurs and others, at least 1.3 million people, maybe as many as 3 million, that's a crime against humanity. So we're dealing with atrocities here.
Secretary Pompeo is calling on other nations who share the United States' concerns to condemn China's behavior. Do you think that will happen, Gordon? Do you think other countries will actually step up to the plate, so to speak?
I think some other countries will follow the lead of the United States on this. Other countries are not moving as fast as the Trump administration is, but China is actually forcing people around the world to recognize how horrible it is. So eventually the world will get there. But until then, it's President Trump's leadership that is the most important thing, because eventually, as I said, I think people will decide that they've got to do the same thing as the U.S.
Gordon, before I let you go, any final thoughts?
Well, I think the most important thing is that we're seeing the United States, for the first time, really recognize the fundamental challenge from China. And so we're seeing this decoupling, imposing of costs. People, of course, don't want to do this, but China is not leaving the United States any choice in this matter.
Well, Gordon, thank you so much. Always appreciate your analysis. Gordon Chang, author of The Coming Collapse of China. Thanks again, Gordon.
Thanks, Tracy.